The email arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing acquisition terms with my legal team in Singapore. Subject: Brennan Family Dinner, Saturday, March 18th. Sophia, your father is hosting an important business dinner this Saturday at the Hamilton Club. David will be there with Rebecca, naturally. This is a significant evening for the family's standing in the community. We've limited the guest list to immediate family and key business associates only. Given the nature of the event and the caliber of attendees, we thought it best you sit this one out. You understand, I'm sure. These dinners require a certain level of professional credibility. Mom. I read it twice, not because I didn't understand, but because I wanted to remember the exact wording. My brother David was bringing Rebecca, his fiancée of 6 months who worked in his marketing department. She was immediate family enough. I had been building enterprise software architecture for 9 years, held 2 patents, and had spent the last 14 months structuring the largest private equity deal in my father's industry. But I wasn't credible enough for dinner. I forwarded the email to my attorney without comment and returned to the contract in front of me. Section 12, subsection 4 needed adjustment. The liability caps weren't aggressive enough. My father, Thomas Brennan, had built Brennan Industrial Supply into a $47 million regional distributor. Respectable, stable. He'd spent 30 years cultivating relationships with manufacturers, securing exclusive contracts, building a reputation for reliability in the tri-state area. He was also drowning, and he didn't know it yet. 3 of his top 5 suppliers had been acquired by a German conglomerate in the last 18 months. New management, new terms, new distribution requirements that favored scale he couldn't provide. His margins were compressing, his contracts were expiring, his bankers were asking questions. David, to his credit, had convinced him the marketing rebrand would fix everything. New logo, new tagline, Brennan Industrial, building tomorrow's infrastructure. It wouldn't fix anything. What would fix it was the deal I'd been architecting since last April, the one where Brennan Industrial Supply became a wholly owned subsidiary of Hexagon Strategic Partners, a private equity platform I'd co-founded with $340 million in committed capital. My father didn't know Hexagon existed. He definitely didn't know I'd structured it, seeded it with institutional backing from 2 sovereign wealth funds and a university endowment, and spent 18 months identifying acquisition targets in fragmented industrial sectors. He thought I worked for a software consultancy in Boston. I'd never corrected him. Saturday evening, I was scheduled to fly back to Philadelphia. My calendar showed a 9 p.m. meeting with my operating partner to finalize due diligence reports. I moved it to 10:30 p.m. and booked a car service to the Hamilton Club for 7:45 p.m. I didn't RSVP. The Hamilton Club occupied a renovated limestone mansion in Rittenhouse Square. My father had been a member for 8 years, long enough to host dinners in the private rooms, but not long enough to serve on any committees that mattered. I arrived at 7:52 p.m. wearing a black Acris suit and carrying a leather portfolio. The maitre d' recognized my last name immediately. "Miss Brennan, your family is in the Wellington room. May I—" "I'll find it. Thank you." The Wellington room was on the 2nd floor, accessible via a mahogany staircase that probably witnessed a century of Philadelphia power dynamics. I could hear my father's voice before I reached the door, warm, expansive, playing the role he'd perfected over 3 decades. Absolutely positioned for growth. We've weathered every economic cycle since 1996, and our supplier relationships are ironclad. That's the foundation we're building on. I opened the door without knocking. 12 faces turned toward me. My father stood at the head of a long table, mid-gesture. My mother sat to his right, frozen with a wine glass halfway to her lips. David was 3 seats down with Rebecca beside him, her hand resting possessively on his arm. The other 8 I didn't recognize, but their posture told me everything. Business formal, assessing eyes, checkbooks in reach. "Sophia." My father's voice carried a note I'd heard 1,000 times, the particular irritation of a man whose performance has been interrupted. This is a private dinner. I know. I received the email explaining I wasn't important enough to attend. My mother set down her wineglass with excessive care. Sweetheart, this isn't the time. Thomas, if this is a family matter, we can step out, one of the men offered. Silver hair, Rolex, comfortable authority. No need, I said. I'm here professionally, not personally. I walked to the empty chair at the opposite end of the table from my father and set down my portfolio. You're here professionally? David's voice carried the precise combination of confusion and condescension he'd mastered by age 14. Sophia, what are you even talking about? I looked at my father. You're pitching investment for a capital infusion, 15 to 20 million, I'd guess, based on your current debt structure and supplier terms. You need it to survive the consolidation wave in your sector. The room went silent. How do you... my father started. These 8 gentlemen represent either family offices or regional PE shops. You've probably promised them exclusive distribution partnerships, board seats, or preferential contract terms. I opened my portfolio and removed a single document. 1 page, noted, hexagon letterhead, with my title below my name. Sophia J. Brennan, managing partner and co-founder. The man studying me most carefully was the one in the Rolex. He picked up the document, scanned it, and then looked at me with completely recalibrated attention. Hexagon, you're the team that acquired Morrison Industrial last year. Correct. Morrison was our 8th platform investment. We paid $83 million, restructured their supplier base, and integrated 3 adjacent acquisitions within 9 months. Current EBITDA multiple is tracking at 12.4 times. Rebecca whispered something to David. He didn't respond. He was staring at me like I'd materialized from another dimension. My mother found her voice. Sophia, why wouldn't you tell us you were... Because every time I mentioned a promotion, Dad explained to me how real business works. When I made partner at the consultancy, the one I actually left 4 years ago, he told me software wasn't a serious industry. When I mentioned starting a fund, he laughed. I looked directly at my father. You told me I didn't understand leverage. You told me I should find a nice corporate job with benefits and stop pretending to be an entrepreneur. The Rolex man set down the summary sheet. Thomas, did you know your daughter runs a $340 million fund? My father's mouth opened, closed. No sound emerged. We've been in preliminary discussions with Brennan Industrial for 14 months. Initial contact was made through intermediaries. We conducted site visits under NDA as a strategic consultancy. Your CFO provided us complete financials in October. That's impossible, my father said. I would have known. You signed the NDA yourself. The consultancy was listed as Hexagon Advisory Group, our due diligence subsidiary. You never asked who owned it. David finally spoke. Wait, you've been evaluating Dad's company for over a year? Evaluating it, modeling it, stress testing integration scenarios with 4 adjacent targets we've already secured. I opened my portfolio and removed a bound document, 47 pages, navy cover, hexagon logo embossed in silver. This is our final acquisition proposal. It was approved by our investment committee on Wednesday. I slid it down the table toward my father. We're offering $52 million for 100% equity in Brennan Industrial Supply. The valuation assumes successful renegotiation of your supplier contracts, which we've already secured commitments for through our existing portfolio relationships. Your German consolidator problem goes away. Your margin compression goes away. Your banking covenant violations go away. One of the other potential investors, younger, late 30s, probably representing family money, cleared his throat. You're acquiring your father's company. I'm acquiring a strategically positioned industrial distributor that fits our roll-up thesis. The family relationship is incidental. The Rolex man was reading the executive summary with the intensity of someone recalculating an entire evening. Thomas, this is a significantly better outcome than anything we'd discussed. We were looking at minority stakes with serious dilution risk. She's my daughter, my father repeated, as if that explained anything. She's a private equity managing partner offering you a premium exit. Correct. Unless I'm reading this wrong. You're not. $52 million, full liquidity, close in 60 days. Dad retains a consulting role for 2 years at $180,000 annually. David can stay in marketing if he wants, though we'll probably restructure that function. David's face had gone crimson. You can't. This is Dad's company. It's a company that's insolvent without capital infusion. I'm providing that capital, at a valuation that's generous given the current trajectory. My mother was crying silently, tears cutting through her makeup. Not sad tears, I knew.
The Rolex man stood and extended his hand to me. James Hardwick. Hardwick Capital. That was the most impressive pitch interruption I've witnessed in 30 years. I shook his hand. Not a pitch, just information. Information that just obsoleted this entire dinner. He looked at my father with something between sympathy and amusement. Thomas, I think you should read that document very carefully. Unless I'm mistaken, your daughter just solved every problem you called us here to discuss. He collected his coat. 3 of the other potential investors followed his lead. The exodus was polite but decisive. They'd come to evaluate an investment opportunity that no longer existed. Within 4 minutes, the room had cleared to just family. My father sat heavily in his chair, the hexagon proposal untouched in front of him. David stood behind him, one hand on the back of his father's chair like he could somehow steady a situation that had already collapsed. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. Sophia, honey, I don't understand. Why didn't you just tell us? I tried, multiple times. At Christmas 2 years ago, I mentioned I was raising capital. Dad explained to me, in detail, why venture capital was a scam. Last April, I said I was looking at industrial companies. He told me to stay in my lane. That's not, my father started. You told me I didn't have the experience to evaluate real businesses. You said software people don't understand physical assets. I kept my voice level. You were right that I didn't understand everything. That's why I spent 18 months learning. Site visits, supply chain analysis, margin modeling. I hired 3 industry veterans as operating partners. I read every contract you've signed in 15 years. David found his voice. So, this is what? Revenge? You're taking Dad's company because we didn't invite you to dinner? I'm acquiring a strategic asset that fits our investment thesis. The fact that it's Dad's company is actually a complication I'd have preferred to avoid. I looked at my father. The deal terms are excellent. You'll get more liquidity than you would with any of those investors, and you won't have to deal with board oversight or covenant restrictions. You can retire comfortably, consult when you want, walk away when you don't. You're telling me what I can do with my own company. His voice was hollow. No, I'm telling you what the options are now that your capital raise failed. I opened the proposal to page 4. Your bank covenants require you to maintain a 2.1 debt-to-EBITDA ratio. You're currently at 2.7 and trending worse. You've got 43 days before they can technically call the loans. These investors would have given you bridge capital, with preferred terms that would have destroyed your equity value in any exit scenario. I turned another page. I'm giving you $52 million, clean terms, and a consulting role that lets you save face. The alternative is watching your banker force a sale to someone who'll pay $38 million and terminate everyone immediately. James Hardwick, who'd apparently paused in the doorway, spoke up. She's not wrong, Thomas. I was planning to offer you $12 million for 35% equity with a liquidation preference that would have made it impossible for you to see meaningful returns. Her offer is substantially better for you. My father didn't look at him. The documents are ready for signature, I continued. My attorneys can meet with yours Monday morning. We close in 60 days. You make the announcement as a strategic partnership, and Brennan Industrial continues operating under its current name as a Hexagon portfolio company. And if I say no, my father asked quietly, then you take one of the other offers in this room, if they're still available after tonight, or you try to refinance your debt at rates that'll make profitability impossible, or you wait for your bank to make decisions for you. I closed the proposal, but you don't have a lot of time to decide. Rebecca, who'd been silent through everything, whispered to David, "Is she serious?" "Deadly serious," I said. "This isn't personal, it's business. The kind of business Dad always said I didn't understand." My father finally opened the proposal. His hands shook slightly as he turned pages. David read over his shoulder, his expression shifting from anger to confusion to something like despair as he absorbed the numbers. "Page 22 has the organizational chart," I offered. "You'll see I've preserved most operational roles. Your management team stays intact. We're not gutting the company, we're stabilizing it." "You're taking it over," David said. "I'm integrating it into a larger platform that gives it a future. There's a difference." My father reached the signature page. His name was already typed into the template, waiting for ink. "Monday morning," I repeated. "My attorneys will call yours at 9 a.m. The press release goes out at 10 a.m. You can frame it however you want. Strategic partnership, generational transition, regional consolidation. Whatever helps you sleep at night." I collected my portfolio and stood. "I'm flying back to Boston at 6 a.m. If you need to reach me before Monday, my assistant's contact information is on the last page." My mother stood as I turned toward the door. "Sophia, wait, please. Can we just talk about this?" "We are talking about it, right now. This is the conversation." "But your family," she said desperately. You're tearing the family apart." "No, I decided I wasn't important enough for the family dinner. I'm just agreeing with your assessment." I walked to the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, the offer really is excellent. Dad should take it." The press release hit Bloomberg Terminal at 9:47 a.m. on Monday. Hexagon Strategic Partners acquires Brennan Industrial Supply in $52 million transaction. Philadelphia-based distributor becomes ninth platform investment in $340 million industrial roll-up strategy. By 10:15 a.m., my phone had 37 missed calls. I answered none of them. The Philadelphia Business Journal ran the story on Tuesday with a photo they'd pulled from my LinkedIn profile, professional, composed, standing in front of Hexagon's Boston office. The headline read, "28-year-old PE executive acquires father's company in family business evolution." The article called it a testament to generational transition in Philadelphia's industrial sector. My father's attorney called mine Wednesday morning. The contracts were signed by Thursday afternoon. I didn't hear from my father directly until 3 weeks later. The call came at 6:43 p.m. while I was reviewing integration timelines with our operations team. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to it an hour later. "Sophia, it's Dad." Long pause. "The wire transfer cleared today. I need to talk to you, when you have time. Please." I didn't call back for 4 days. When I finally did, I kept it brief. "The consulting agreement starts next month. Marcy from our operations team will reach out to schedule your transition meetings." "I don't want to talk about the consulting agreement. I want to talk about what happened at the dinner." "Nothing happened at the dinner. I provided information about a business transaction." "You humiliated me in front of—" "You corrected your investors' understanding of your situation. If that felt like humiliation, that's not something I can control." Silence stretched between us. "Why didn't you tell me," he asked finally, "about the fund, about what you'd built? You would have believed me?" I kept my voice neutral. "Dad, I tried telling you, multiple times. You explained to me why I was wrong every time, so I stopped trying." "I didn't know—" "You didn't ask. There's a difference." Another long pause. "Your mother wants to have dinner.
All of us. She thinks we should. I'm in Singapore next week, Frankfurt after that. My schedule's fairly locked through June. Sophia, the consulting agreement includes quarterly meetings. We can talk then, about business. That seems to be the relationship we have. That's not, I don't want, he stopped, started again. You're my daughter. I'm the managing partner who acquired your company. Those can both be true. I heard him breathe on the other end of the line. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller, uncertain. I'm proud of you, what you built. I should have said that first. You should have said that 4 years ago. I know. The wire transfer cleared, I repeated. You've got liquidity. You've got security. That's what you needed. That's what I provided. Is that all? He asked. Just business? I looked at the spreadsheet on my screen. Integration costs, synergy projections, timeline milestones, numbers that made sense, outcomes I could control. For now, I said, that's all I have capacity for. But not forever? I thought about the email on that Tuesday morning. These dinners require a certain level of professional credibility. Maybe not forever, I conceded, but for now I'm exactly important enough, and that's sufficient. I ended the call before he could respond. The acquisition closed on schedule. Brennan Industrial Supply integrated smoothly into our platform. Our Q2 investor letter highlighted it as a model execution, strong strategic fit, attractive entry valuation, immediate operational improvements. My father attended his first consulting meeting in July. Professional, cordial. He provided genuinely useful information about supplier relationships